Olaudah Equiano lived in the 1700s. He was born in 1745. Amen. He was born in Africa, West Africa. Amen. He was from the Igbo people. Igbo people. He was an Igbo. One day, he's with his sister, amen, mom and daddy going to work and stuff like that. Some people jumped over the wall in their village, amen, and kidnapped Olaudah and his sister. Sold them into slavery. They bring him to the Caribbean, and he said the first time he heard the Bible and began to hear about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and began to hear about the laws of Moses, it arrested him. And he said, wait up. He said, most of that sound like the practices of my people. He said, well, just like the Hebrews of the Bible, he said, we have one true God. We worship him. He is the creator of all things. And when we did a study on his language, they call him a name. And when you do the etymology of the name that the Hebrews called him, that Olaudah called him, they didn't just call him God. They called him the God of Abraham. Somebody got to hear me. Practice circumcision on the 8th day. On the 8th day. They waited until the 8th day. Now to be circumcised in Africa is a mystery altogether itself. People that never heard of God and the Bible be circumcised. You know? Well, Pastor, what is circumcision? Circumcision is the sign of the covenant. Meaning that God would show who his covenant people would be by a sign. And that sign would be the sign of circumcision. More slaves were circumcised than slave owners and white folk that was here in America. The sign of the covenant. Olaudah not only said that, he said that we practice just like the law of Leviticus. The laws of purity, cleanness, and uncleanness. We can't touch a dead body. There's some things that we could eat and that we can't eat. Ooh, things that's kosher and not kosher. Are you hearing me up in here? He was reading, he said, that's us. He said they practice animal sacrifices to atone for their sins. He said they practice the feast according to the law of Moses. One of the weirdest things was that just like a woman before she got married had to provide the man had to provide a dowry, they did the same thing. As the list go on and on. We can look at Olaudah's name and see where he's from. Daudah means Judah. Another man about 100 years, a European man, a white man, 100 years after Olaudah, G.T. Baston. Now remember, this ain't a black-white thing, because a lot of white brothers and sisters done bless us on our way. You got to hear that. God done use a lot of them. Amen? This man was one of them. He was a missionary. He wanted to go overseas and share Christ. You see? G.T. Baston, amen, stumbled upon the Igbo people in Africa. He went to win them for Jesus. He wrote a book about it, and his book was called Among the Igbos of Nigeria. He lived in 1873 to 1944, amen. He says that the Igbo people bear the main characteristic of that stock, meaning that the Negroes in Negro land was different than the rest of the Africans. He said they bear the characteristics of Negro land. He says that there are certain customs rather point to Levitic influence. At a more or less remote period, he says that the customs remind him of the book of Levi, the book of Leviticus. This is suggested in the underlying ideas concerning sacrifice, the practice of circumcision. Even their language bears several interesting parallels with Hebrew idioms. Their language, my wife always tells me, is in the words, is in the language. G.T. Baston was so sure that the Igbos were of Israel that he told other missionaries before they went out to witness to the Igbos, he told them, read your Old Testament. Because the only way you're going to know these people is to read their book. Ooh, God have mercy. It's to read their Old Testament. That's what he told the missionary. He said, read the Old Testament. That's the only way you're going to be able to win them. Why? Because the Igbo live like the ancient Israelites.
From deep inside Africa, a sound is emanating that is causing reverberations around the world. Sound of a people casting off 2 centuries of colonialism, returning to what they say are their native roots.
I know from birth I'm a Jew. Only I know that my forefather missed the way.
I grew up alongside every other Igbo youth. We kept on hearing that Igbo people came from Israel.
There was a story my mom told me at the age of 6 years. I never forget. He said the Igbos are Jews.
Other Israelites are equally in Igbo land. We have Zebulun, we have Ephraim, we have Menashe, we have Reuben, we have Danites. They are all here. Igbos are Israelites. The question of Igbo being Israelites are not in doubt. There are evidences that Igbos are Israelites. The journey of Igbo started when the Assyrians actually attacked and exiled the 10 tribes of Israel, the northern kingdom, in 722 BCE. From that period, all the 10 tribes were scattered. The bulk, according to Mazutra, were taken to Africa. So in Igbo land, you will see most of these lost 10 tribes.